What's up, y'all? You're listening to the Extra Point College Football Podcast. I'm your host, Jacob Carnes, joined as always by my co-host, Daniel Hammock. Daniel, week 8, almost in the books. We're recording a little bit early, but Kansas State and TCU, I got it right here in my phone. So 28-24, that's kind of a game we picked that we're watching. Bama's up big, hoping for a backdoor cover there.
Yeah.
But busy week 8, excited to break it down. Daniel, I feel like we just need to go ahead and start with LSU, Ole Miss, which was my most confident play of the day. Let me tell you something. I was feeling real good. Second quarter,
point, yeah,
it's 17-3. I'm like, man, they're going to bury this team. Like, they was just up and down the field. I mean, credit to LSU, man. They didn't go down. Jaden Daniels just decided to, after that, have the best game of his career in back-to-back weeks. So,
yeah. Did you see Jaden Daniels on the sideline on the phone? That wasn't with the offensive coordinator. That was with me saying, "Hey, I don't know if you know this, but you're making me look like an idiot." I said 10-2 LSU. You've already got your 2 losses, homeboy. And he said, "All right, I got you, man." And then sure enough, he did have me. And yeah, that game, I think Jaden Daniels' confidence after the Florida game on the road, then coming home and beating a top 10 opponent, and Ole Miss is legit. They're a good team. I think they're going to stay, highly ranked through the season. I think they're going to keep winning games. So I look for them to, finish out maybe 10-2, 10-3, or 9-3, something like that. So another good solid year after what they did last year. So this is a good quality opponent. And then, LSU just, I think just defensively, if you look at what Lane Kiffin said after the game, he said, what was the difference? He said they played number 40 more than they did earlier in the game, which that's Harold Perkins. He's the 5-star freshman, and he is different. He's just a different cat. And I think the more he gets to play, the more of a difference maker. He's one of those traditional inside linebackers from LSU that goes sideline to sideline. And I just think that that defense kind of is rebranding itself as a good LSU defense, whereas you're seeing the sum of the parts, whereas before it was like, oh yeah, this random guy that transferred from this small school or whatever. These guys aren't supposed to be starting for LSU, but now you're kind of seeing them come together. I think you're seeing that Brian Kelly effect where they're starting to believe in him a little bit. And I mean, really the biggest thing for me is just Jaden Daniels being confident with this receiving core, because his best year, we've talked about it, his freshman year with Brandon Ayuk at Arizona State. Ever since then, when Brandon Ayuk goes to the pros, he doesn't really have that target, and he's not comfortable. He doesn't push the ball downfield. Now he is pushing the ball downfield. He's getting those good intermediate routes and really just letting these guys work. All of these guys, Kayshon Boutte had a good game, Jerry Jenkins, and these guys are all playing well and catching the ball for him, giving him confidence. I think that they're confident, thinking, hey, we're going to get the ball more. So this is just the offense and defense both working together, playing very complimentary football right now.
10-2 LSU is still on the table.
It's happening. They just got to beat Alabama in 2 weeks.
That's it. That's all they got to do.
If they get past that game, Jacob, if they get past that game, do you think they go 10-2, or do you think they still slip up somewhere?
Bro, Jimbo gets him.
I think Jimbo gets him. That would be the ultimate.
But legit, I think regardless of the Alabama result, playing Arkansas the week after is like, that's a tough spot.
Yeah.
Especially with Arkansas getting back healthy. You and I are both Arkansas culture fans. That's a good coaching staff. So they're going to get that team playing right. I think that's tough to count on them to go into Arkansas and win that game. So I'm going to say 8-4 LSU, which is still way better than I anticipated. I think I said 6-6. So we might split the difference there and have 8-win LSU. Well, hey, but 10-2 is still on the table. 6-6 is not on the table anymore.
No, it is.
No, it is.
6-2.
Right.
We got 4 games left.
Yeah.
So
that's right. So 10-2 LSU still on the table. How high did they jump in the rankings? Because they were unranked.
Yeah, they're unranked. It's
not that it matters. But
yeah, I was going to say it's the AP poll, so who really cares? But I think that you're going to get them in the top 20 this week. I think they'll drop Ole Miss to maybe 20, and they'll give LSU 18, something like that, because they'll both be one loss in the conference. Yeah.
For what it's worth, in the extra point rankings, LSU was ranked 16th going into the week.
Here's the thing. Next week, LSU's not going to have a game again before the first committee rankings come out. So I do think that's important that this is the last thing that people saw of LSU, and it's kind of setting up for the Alabama game. So I think that Ole Miss carries a lot of respect of what they've already done so far this season. So that win is big. So more importantly, I think the committee is going to respect LSU, and I think they're going to have LSU in the top 20.
I agree. I think top 20 is a good place to put him. I mean, 25-point win, that's hard to ignore. All right, Daniel, let's go to the biggest game of the day. Out in the Pac-12, out west, Oregon, UCLA. You and I were right about this one. And
yes,
man, my takeaway of the day, I actually wrote it right here, so I wouldn't forget. Oregon is really good. That is my takeaway of the day. So Oregon's really good, man. Again, it's like, hey, you watched them get beat down by Georgia that first week, and all they've done since then is work hard, get back to it. And I mean, and this game was not even as close as the score indicates with 45 to 30. Oregon was up big. Like they came out, started fast, and then kept on. They scored in the first 7 drives, I think.
Yeah.
Bo Nix had a career day. Another one. His EPA EPA per play was 0.7, which is, it's hard to put. That is like 99th percentile for players, like to add that much to a game per play. A total of 19.8 EPA for the game just from him, and through the air, another 10 EPA on the ground. So like, he had over 300 total yards, 5 touchdowns. I mean, 6 incompletions and 5 touchdowns. Oregon's really good, man. And at this point, I think I would pick them to win the Pac-12 at this point.
Yeah, he's right at home in this offense. He's finally, I feel like there's more space for him. He's able to just see everything. At this point in his career, I think he's, as it's partially development, partially opponent, partially, what he's got around him. Like, I think his skill position is way better than what he had at Auburn. But I also think that the defenses that he's playing aren't what he had to face in the SEC. So not to discount what he's done, I also think that he's grown as a player. I think all 3 can be true, and this is a result. So 5 touchdowns today, over 6.5 yards per carry, which is super important for him because he is a dual threat, but I think that it was 8 rushes today. I think that's just the right number for him. You don't want to overdo it where he's having to win games with his legs. But if it's a part of the offense, then I think they're extremely dangerous. And again, 5 touchdowns. He already had 20 before that. So Jacob, he's in the Heisman conversation. I think he's going to be invited to New York when that time comes.
Wow.
I'm not going to say he's going to win or anything like that, but I'm saying your group of Heisman contenders is so small. I think he's going to be in that group that gets invited.
A little bit of breaking news here. Do you know Connor Wegman was in the game for Texas A&M?
I did not know that.
Jimbo playing a true freshman.
It still technically doesn't burn his red shirt, so there's that.
No. Kind of incredible, but we'll keep an eye on that. Yeah.
South Carolina's still with a lead, so 24-21.
That's right. So let me ask you this, Daniel, because I want to talk about this team next. Oregon, phenomenal day, obviously. We have them at 8 in our extra point rankings. We had Clemson at 6.
Mm-hmm.
On a neutral field, if I gave you Clemson minus 6.5, who are you taking?
Ooh, I feel like I'm taking Oregon.
That's where I'm kind of going right now.
But here's the thing, Jacob. I feel like I need to see recency bias a little bit. Today, obviously, we haven't really covered it yet, but Clemson played Syracuse. They were down most of the game, come back in the fourth quarter, led by Cade Klubnik. Cade Klubnik comes into the game, takes over the offense. He does not really look super spectacular or different. I think the offense just realized it was time to go because Shipley kind of took over in that moment. Phil Maffa did a great job. I think the best play that Cade Klubnik made was getting hit out of bounds because it gave them a first down on a long third down. So, nothing against Cade. He made a good pass on a 2-point conversion. So all that to be said, Dabo comes out after the game and says, DJ's our quarterback. So in this moment, I'd pick Oregon because I think there's confusion at quarterback. I think that at least creeping back in DJ's head that he might get replaced, or he does get replaced, and let's see what this freshman's even got. Meanwhile, at Oregon, there's no question who the guy is, and they're playing very efficient, great football. So I think there's a little bit of, hey, what did they do today as how I feel. Let's not forget, though, Clemson's defense can shut down the run, and I think that that's where Oregon's offense kind of starts, is establishing a line of scrimmage and running the ball. But I mean, right now, I'm leaning Oregon.
So yeah, you talk about shutting down the run. Syracuse today, Sean Tucker had 5 carries for 54 yards. So, that's a big yards per play, but holding him on the ground to 54 yards, they came out deciding to shut down the run. Syracuse had to throw the ball all over. The defensive line got a ton of sacks today. I will say it's different because I know he got thrown into the game, but I think you saw why DJU is still playing ahead of Cade Klubnik today.
Yeah.
And you texted us. You said he looks like a freshman, and he absolutely did. I think that DJ is still a better quarterback. I think that he made one was a great play on the interception. The other one was a bad throw, but he didn't make many other bad throws that game.
Yeah.
Like the offense was sputtering. The play calling was inept on offense, like just terrible play calling. I felt like when they had some great play calling throughout the game. And then finally it was just like, hey, we're bigger and stronger than you are. Let's just run the ball. Like when Cade came in, he made some great handoffs. And it's like, why wouldn't you have just done that with DJ? So I'm more put this on coaching staff, and I guess they won, and so you can go back and say, hey, it was the right call. They won the game. But we were looking at their schedule before the show, Daniel. I don't see Clemson slipping up the rest of the way.
Yeah.
Like it'll be hard. Syracuse is a really good test. But hey, Clemson gets the win. They stay undefeated. Daniel, I walk away still impressed with Syracuse after this game.
I was more impressed with
Clemson.
Syracuse. Yeah. Yeah.
So please don't drop them from the rankings. AP voters. This is a very, very good team. Let's talk about it. Texas, 34. Oklahoma State, 41.
Jacob, this is our slam dunk of the week.
I said
I'm not that mad. Texas was going to win by 3 touchdowns. So if anyone should be mad, it should be me, because I put myself out there like that, and Texas is out here fooling around with Spencer Sanders and the Pokes. And that 127th ranked pass defense sure looked pretty good at the end of the game against Texas. So, I was pulling hard so I could at least be right with the cover. And yeah, it was not to be today. I think that Oklahoma State is better than me and you think, but worse than what the public thinks.
Yeah.
About still that. Split the difference. Like we're still right that the public is too high on them, but we may have overcorrected in our efforts to get the public off of them. Do I still think that Texas is the best team in the Big 12? No. It's Kansas State. It just depends.
We'll see after tonight.
Here's the thing. The whole Big 12 is just like this. This is the issue with the Big 12. You think you know, but you don't really know. And what Oklahoma did for us for years was, we know Oklahoma, and then we'll figure out the rest of the Big 12. But now with Oklahoma kind of regressing to the median It's, oh, okay, we don't know what we don't know. Do we just keep voting on Oklahoma State? I don't know. Baylor looked pretty good today. They've got 3 losses. So
I'm just baffled by the end of this game. They blew it. I thought play calling got conservative. Now, I think if you didn't watch the game, you're going to look at Quinn Ewers' stat line and be like, wow, that was terrible. He had a lot of drops today.
Oh, yeah.
I think that there was just not chemistry there between the quarterback and the wide receivers as far as Texas goes in the second half, especially. And then when they got down late, then he's forcing balls, trying to tie it to go to overtime. So you get that pick late. I had a very wrong read on this game, and the Big 12, you're right about this. The Big 12 is the most fun conference in college football this year because of A, the parity, because I think there's a lot of good teams.
Yeah.
But B, which version of each of these teams is going to show up each week?
Right.
Because if the Texas that beat Oklahoma shows up, there's no one in the Big 12 that's going to beat them. The Texas that showed up today, I think like half the teams in the Big 12 can beat them. So same with Oklahoma State. So it is what it is. Congrats to Oklahoma State on the win. They still have 1 loss. They're still very much alive in the Big 12 championship race. And so will whoever wins Kansas State and TCU. I think those should be the favorites moving forward. Winner of that game tonight, which we might get while we're recording. We may not. We'll see. But hate that we had to talk about it. Still mad. So.
Yeah.
All right, Daniel. Ohio State. We got the chance to finally talk about them on the preview show.
Yeah.
I was a little worried early, only because I said, how many points does Ohio State need to score? Because I don't think Iowa is going to score any. And then they got that strip sack touchdown early.
Defensive touchdown,
which you can't predict. And I'm like,
that's the only way Iowa scores is defensively.
That's right. And Ohio State said, it doesn't matter. 54-10.
So I told you in this, I said, I think that the offense for Iowa at best is good for 6 points. They were good for 3 because they scored 10 total and the defense scored the touchdown. I told you, I think that we might be worried about this game in the first half because, Iowa's going to come out there with the defense, but it really, I didn't even heed my own warning and I was worried. And I was like, you know what? Whatever. I don't even know about college football anymore. And then, of course, what we said did come to fruition. Iowa is just going to keep forcing the issue. They turned the ball over. They had, Ohio State had defensive scores as well. And then, like we said, that defense can hold as much as they want and just try to – but at a certain point, they're going to get tired of tackling when they know that their offense isn't going to do anything for them, no matter what field position they give them, so a change has to be made. They have to bring in some playmakers. That offense is really struggling for, like, if they had one guy that they knew could do something, you could design things for him to win you some games, to get you in field position for field goals, things like that. You got to at least have one playmaker on offense. They have 0. And this, I believe, is the biggest win for Ohio State over Iowa since 1979, point spread wise. So
shout out.
That is phenomenal as far as what Ohio State is. I think that Ohio State is really coming into their own. I think it was 54 to 10.
54 to 10.
These 54 points, I mean, this is like scoring 80 points on a regular defense. So, like 54 on Iowa, I do think Iowa has a very good defense. But this shows you what the stage of just football is in general. Great offense is going to beat a great defense. So, and they're going to beat them like this. So this very impressed with Ohio State. Maybe more depressed for Iowa again, more so than I even could be, because
Nepotism.
they had options, they had opportunities in this game to be in it. When they held Ohio State to a second field goal, because I guess the first 2 touchdowns were they both? No. I was going to say were both touchdowns by each team a defensive score, but not yet. Ohio State they had been held to a field goal after a turnover. Then they scored a touchdown on their next drive. Then they got a turnover again, and then were held to another field goal. So when they held them to that second field goal, it was 13-7. At that point, I was like, all right, Iowa, now you need your best offensive drive. Put all your best plays out there, whatever you got. I think it was 3 and out, or it was a turnover. I think it was a pick six. It's just not pretty. Like, if I was an Iowa fan, I'd be proud of the program in general because of what they've done in the past few years. Last year did not have a good offense. This year has like the worst offense I've ever seen. And they know this, and I feel bad for them because nobody goes to see this. So hopefully, nepotism. Hopefully they get this fixed. Iowa deserves better.
Because too, you've got players probably on the roster that are capable of so much more. Like a perfect example is Charlie Potter. Is that his name at Purdue? The transfer from Iowa to Purdue, who like is going to be a finalist for the Biletnikoff Award this year. Like he's been that good at Purdue, and at Iowa he was absolutely nothing because this is nepotism at a very large scale. So shout out to Iowa. Here's a great tip just to be successful. Just get your parent to hire you for whatever job you want, and then perform however you want, and you'll just get to keep that job. So shout out to the Ferentz family, just taking care of each other. So, I mean, hey, if anything, at least they're taking care of their family, you know?
Those kids in the children's hospital deserve better, all right?
They 100% deserve
like,
better.
They're looking out the window trying to see hope, and then they see
Iowa
over the Iowa center coming over the ball, and they're like, never mind, we'll wait till the defense is back out there.
Right. Oh, gosh. Well, Daniel, we're sitting here at TCU is taking the lead at the end of the third quarter. So it's looking
you need to stop feeling good about it over there, all right?
Look, the same thing happened with Oklahoma State. TCU just said, oh crap, Quentin Johnson just started throwing it to him. They're wearing all black tonight, and they're not wearing the silly reddish purple. I don't like those uniforms, Daniel. The ones tonight are fine, but not a fan of that. Whatever that was they were last week.
They didn't have their colors on it.
Right, exactly. I'm a big fan of teams not wearing their colors. Alabama up right now, 30-6. So we are up final. Dang it. Well, we lost that one. We lost that cover. That's all I needed, man. They had to stay at 27. We'd have been in cover town. But hey, Alabama, EPA per play tonight, negative 0.06. A win's a win tonight if you're Bama. Like, get this win, go to the bye week, you covered. I don't have a whole lot of takeaways from that. Just Bryce Young looked like Bryce Young tonight. He's unbelievable. I think he's the best quarterback in the country. I know he won the Heisman. That's not like some
breaking news
big, but there's been some like, Stroud, Hooker. As far as draft stuff goes next year too, like I'm just saying, like, I know that the NFL likes their certain size and stuff. I just think the gap is bigger. I think I am bigger on Bryce Young with the gap between him and CJ Stroud than most people. And I know Stroud's got the better size. He's a better build for a quarterback. I just watching Bryce Young play, like Bama without Bryce Young, I think could lose 3 games this year. Like I think he's that much of a difference maker. And you put him in any offense, you're probably going to go undefeated. Like he is that much of a difference maker.
He's unbelievable. He's very good. The reason we picked Mississippi State with the points was we didn't think that this Bama team was the same as years past. I even come out of this game still not necessarily feeling differently, but more or less thinking Mississippi State's offense just fits what Bama can do really well on defense, which is cover over the top and make tackles underneath and force you to just be perfect on several plays in a row. They're not going to let you hit the home run. You have to hit several singles in a row against them to score. And that's not sustainable for some people. You have to be very good and talented to do that on a consistent basis. And that's why, teams don't really do that now. Against Tennessee is a different story. They have the players and the scheme to go over the top on you and to find your mismatches. So that is something we probably should have noticed a little bit more, but I think we're both very high on what Mississippi State's doing this year. We both realize they're a quality team. So I think this is a very quality win by Alabama. Kind of a reminder that, hey, even though we're grading them against former Alabama teams of the past that are elite upon elite upon elite, this is still a very good team. And if you're talking in the context of the teams that are playing the sport today, they're still an elite team. So, if you're considering elite like top 5, I think they're a top 5 team.
Bama's still Bama. I think they got to figure out some stuff on defense before they get to the SEC championship and the playoff. So, I mean, those are their next steps. So, like you said, the gaps we're talking about with Bama is what happens when you face elite teams, and we saw a little bit of that against Tennessee. So,
right.
But what I should have looked up is Nick Saban versus Mike Leach before we talked about it. So now, since he joined the SEC as Mississippi State's head coach, the combined margin of victory is 120-15.
Okay.
So, now we know. Oh goodness. All right, Daniel, we're gonna wait for Kansas State and TCU to wrap up. We might have a little quick hitter on that. TCU is about to score again, second and goal. So maybe
you said we're gonna wait for it to wrap up. It's 13 minutes left.
Not on the pod.
I was like,
sorry, no. We're not
Jacob,
gonna sit here.
We're not gonna hold these people on here.
No.
Okay.
No. We'll do a little quick hitter on it on our preview episode, which we'll drop next Wednesday. But you can follow us on social media at the Extra Point Pod on Facebook and Instagram. You can follow him on Twitter at Deep South Daniel. You can follow me on Twitter at Jacob Carnes with a K. That will do it for this edition of the Extra Point. He is Daniel. I'm Jacob.